Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about how to stay positive all the time and the benefits behind being positive. I'm going to be sharing with you a specific perspective as well as a specific tool that helps me stay positive, to be able to bring in my manifestations, to be able to envision my future and bring it into the fabrics of reality, into the material life, and how that benefits me not only in my relationships, how that benefits me in my business, how that benefits me in my self-love and my self-practice of myself, as well as the wealth behind everything. And also the connection spiritually and how that expands my consciousness to be able to be staying positive and staying in a high frequency. So a little backstory on myself. I really started seeking to change my mindset and change my perspective of life because it's changed a lot throughout my years. Early, in my teenage years, I'm writing a blog and I'm actually in my teenage years right now. And I was I just didn't really care about anything. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a goal. Getting into my, middle age kind of category within the military, I was really driven and really motivated. And I felt like I controlled life, right? I controlled people and I controlled life. Until now, my perspective of life where I understand that I create my life, but I don't control anybody. I can't make anybody do anything. And I choose to be happy. Like, it's a choice to be happy. So, and to be able to get to this point, I practiced a lot of different things. I practiced meditation first off. I went to therapy to talk to about every negative thought that I was having and why I was having it and where it was. And that process is long. As you know, if you have gone to therapy, that process is extremely long and it can be in depth, and then you walk out and you feel better. But those things have to compound over 10, 20 years to be able to see that active change in your life, because it's on the surface level stuff, right? So I wanted to go in deeper. So I went into healing modalities and color and sound healing and all these different avenues to be able to try and be positive and be happy and be present and not project myself in the future so much that I'm worried about it, and don't put myself in the past to where I can't leave a scenario because I'm telling myself I messed up or I did something wrong or this person did this to me, or I'm feeling anger and resentment and hatred and fear and all those energies that just completely destroy what it is that you're creating and keep you stuck, keep you pounded exactly where you're at. So these vehicles that I was using to be able to get to where I wanted to be were just very slow and arduous. And it was something that was constantly work, right? And this is always constant work, but it was at a pace that I realized that I needed to do something different. So a lot of my external environment was showing me that nobody really supported the journey I was on. They wanted me to be who they wanted me to be in their life for the support of their own insecurities and their own fears. And at the time, that literally, I pushed everybody away because I hated that. I felt it as a toxic relationship, as you kind of hear the buzzword going around. And we can expand on that in another video. A lot of people, I lost a lot of friends and I lost a lot of relationships because of the decisions to focus on myself and to focus on developing the philosophy of life that I wanted to live by, developing morals and codes that I wanted to live by that weren't regurgitated from my family that was non-existent, and the military that had their core concepts, right? Those things didn't stick with me. So I had a calling to be able to develop something, to be able to change my mindset at the drop of a hand, to be able to be conscious, right? I talked about a little bit in my videos about, you have between 50 and 70,000 thoughts, a day, an average person, and 2/3 of those are actually negative thoughts. Like, how do we change those negative thoughts and be able to create them to either transmute them into positive thoughts that actuate our life towards, motivation and inspiration and love and compassion and excellence within ourselves, but also just screen them to the point where we just focus on the positive ones, where we are recycling these and then we are bringing them back up and we're living in that energy and we're moving with that motion and that flow and that current to be able to change our identities to the visionary or the creator of our life, to be able to create and live the dreams, to believe in ourselves and to achieve the dreams that we're looking after. I developed this kind of tool, this system that I just use that works for me. And it works for other people that I've kind of shared it with them. And this came along when I just said, well, why don't I just pay attention to the thoughts and not always just classify them as being mine? You know, at that point, I was researching a lot within spirituality and focusing on the scientific development behind the brain of what happens with energy when energy transmutes into actual memories and concepts that your brain can then transmute and articulate into a form of an emotion and a feeling to the body to be able to get it to move, right? So this process was very intriguing to me. So I said, well, why don't I just screen my thoughts? Well, it's a little harder than just paying attention every day when you're activated in a high beta state and you're living in your life and you're moving in your life and you have 50 to 70,000 thoughts coming inside of you a day and you don't even know if they're yours or not, right? So this kind of came to me when I was at SEAL Team 6. And that environment was extremely toxic. That environment was very negative, right? And heavy energy. And everything I heard, you're a piece of shit, you're not good enough, everybody judges you, you can't do that. All these negative thoughts, I would just put them in my backpack. Oh, this is me talking to myself. This is how I talk to myself. Knowing that that wasn't all mine. That wasn't all mine. I was attracting it and I was collecting it and absorbing it. So what I do is I it's literally called binning, right? I just, like when you're taking your trash and you're recycling out, you know, you take your trash out and you take your recycling out. So I have methodology behind to be able to stay conscious. Like that's the Helio Experiment, is how to stay conscious, how to flip that 95% of the time that you're in your subconscious and your subconscious is controlling your movement throughout the day and your reactions, to the 5% that is conscious. I wanted to be 95% conscious and 5% subconscious. And in that process, one of the things is to be able to hear the thoughts and know where they derive from. And you start to work with your own energy and you know that if it's my energy or not. And if it's not my energy, right, unless I want to entertain myself with telepathy or things of that nature and practice of energy and the feelings and emotions and tap into that certain reality, well, then it goes into the trash, right? It just goes into the trash. And if they are mine, that screening process is, if it's negative, it goes into the trash. It's not entertained. And if it's a positive feeling, if it brings me high emotion and motivation and inspiration and connection to beyond myself and it just feels good, well, that goes into the recycling bin. And I sit on those energies for a while. I allow it to be inside my body and inside my mind and allow those thoughts to develop, you know, and kind of take it into scenarios and situations and feelings and memories in that process. So I recycle them. So I allow them to come back in and I allow them to have passage. And no, I'm not going to screen 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. No, I'm saying that for the amount of time that I am staying focused and I am staying conscious, I'm choosing not to react to the energy and I'm choosing not to take every thought as my own. I'm starting to screen and bin. And if it goes in the trash, it goes in the trash.